Welcome to Arsenal, where the weapons and war machines of military history come to life. Today, we explore the Los Angeles-class attack submarines of the Cold War and the crews and opponents who gave them their reputation. A longer version of this feature, with fact sheets and photos, is available in the print edition on LinkedIn or by email. You can also find more articles, podcasts, and resources at trackpads.com. Far below the gray chop of the Norwegian Sea, a Los Angeles-class attack submarine moves through cold, black water. Inside, the control room glows red, just bright enough for watchstanders to read instruments and mark bearings on a clear plotting board. A faint trace appears on sonar. The captain stands near the periscope stand, listening to updates and weighing how close to push. The contact might be a ballistic missile submarine capable of striking cities across an ocean, or an attack boat looking for the same carrier groups this submarine is assigned to protect. The torpedo tubes are ready, but the real mission is to follow, not fire, and to hold an invisible solution as long as required. Arsenal is the Friday feature of Dispatch, U.S. Military History magazine. That quiet tension defined the undersea Cold War. By the late 1960s, the underwater balance was changing. Earlier Soviet submarines had been noisy and easier for Western forces to track, but newer nuclear attack and ballistic missile boats were faster, longer-ranged, and more dangerous. Existing American nuclear attack submarines were capable, but the Navy needed a larger force that could screen carrier groups, protect reinforcement convoys, trail Soviet strategic submarines, collect intelligence, and still hunt enemy attack boats on its own. A few advanced hulls would not be enough. The fleet needed a class that could be built in numbers and improved over time. That requirement produced a submarine designed for submerged performance first. Naval architects gave the Los Angeles class a long teardrop hull, a powerful pressurized water reactor, advanced sonar, and machinery arrangements intended to reduce noise. The boats had to cruise quietly for long periods, then sprint at high speed when a contact had to be closed or a carrier group needed protection. They also had to carry heavyweight torpedoes, fire control systems, and later cruise missiles, without overwhelming a crew already living and working in tight spaces. At a glance, a Los Angeles-class boat is a United States nuclear-powered fast attack submarine with a crew of a little over 100 people. Public descriptions usually credit the class with submerged speeds in excess of 20 knots and operating depths that keep it well below most surface threats. Its weapons center on heavyweight torpedoes, joined on many boats by Tomahawk land attack missiles fired through torpedo tubes or dedicated vertical launch cells. Dozens were built in several waves, and by the end of the Cold War, they formed the bulk of the American attack submarine force. Life inside was crowded, technical, and constant. The control room beneath the sail packed together ship control, navigation, sonar, and weapons information, turning faint sounds from miles away into decisions about course, depth, and possible attack. The torpedo room stored massive weapons, but also competed with living space, and sailors made room for bunks, gear, and daily routines wherever they could. Hot bunking, narrow passageways, and small lockers were part of the deployment. A compact galley and mess became the social center, while life support systems scrubbed carbon dioxide, generated oxygen, and purified water. Farther aft, the engineering spaces kept the boat alive. Reactor operators, electricians, and machinists' mates stood long watches among pipes, valves, panels, and gauges, keeping the nuclear plant and generators safe and reliable. Noise control shaped daily work. Pumps were isolated, machinery was balanced, and maintenance was judged not only by whether it worked, but by whether it made the submarine easier or harder to hear. The whole ship existed to give the captain a platform quiet enough to approach, track, and, if ordered, strike first. In the late 1970s and 1980s, the class earned its reputation on patrols that rarely became public. Los Angeles-class boats operated in the North Atlantic, Norwegian Sea, Northern Pacific, and other contested waters, where they searched for and covertly trailed Soviet submarines. A successful patrol might mean weeks of tracking a single contact through changing ocean layers, background noise, and tactical orders. Other boats went ahead of carrier battle groups, sweeping likely submarine approaches and positioning themselves where an enemy attack boat might try to ambush the surface force. As Tomahawk missiles matured, the class added a more visible strike role. Crews prepared launch data, checked targeting information, and fired missiles in coordination with aircraft and surface ships during regional conflicts. After launch, the submarine would shift course and depth to reduce the chance of detection. Across these missions, the class proved useful not because of one dramatic battle, but because it guarded fleets, shadowed strategic weapons, gathered intelligence, and struck from the sea while remaining largely unseen. Sailors respected the Los Angeles class for speed, endurance, sensors, and flexibility. Nuclear power let the boats remain submerged for months, limited mainly by food and human endurance. Advanced sonar and fire control systems gave trained teams a strong chance in undersea contests, but there were limits. High speed could create more noise. Early boats were less suited to some shallow or ice-covered environments. Living conditions were cramped, and the hull left only so much room for later upgrades. Potential opponents worked constantly to close the gap with quieter submarines, sonar networks, and tactics built around complex coastal waters and masking noise. The class evolved through several waves. Early boats reflected the original hunter-killer mission, while later units added vertical launch systems for Tomahawk missiles, improved sonar processing, and changes that made under-ice operations more practical. Refits brought new combat systems and communications gear to older hulls. By the end of production, the Los Angeles class had become a family of related submarines, linked by a common core of speed, endurance, quieting, and multi-mission usefulness. Today, most retired Los Angeles-class boats do not become museum attractions. They pass through carefully managed recycling programs because of their nuclear components, making them harder to visit than older diesel submarines. Their story still appears in exhibits on nuclear submarines, Cold War anti-submarine warfare, and modern undersea technology. Their legacy lives on in newer fast attack submarines, and in the idea that a hidden crew, operating in silence, can shape events across an entire ocean. Beneath calm water, the class reminds us, there may be a contest of skill, patience, technology, and nerve.